Here's 5.2 day 1 properties of quadratic functions. We are going to find the maximum minimum points in x and y intercepts using a graphing calculator to do this. Tomorrow in class I will have a class set of graphing calculators for you to use. So today I just want you to follow along. We have a couple word problems to work on with graphing calculators. The first slide, I don't want you to write anything down. It's just to review what are x and y intercepts. The x-intercept is where it crosses on the x-axis. So you'll notice there are two x-intercepts in this graph. There's an x-intercept right here and an x-intercept right there. The y-intercept is where it touches on the y-axis. So there's one y-intercept in this picture. It is right there. When we identify these, we want to identify them as ordered pairs. The second thing we want to understand out of this slide is, again, don't write this information down in your notebook, the maximum and minimum points of a parabola. The left example is an example of a maximum point. So if we were to identify the maximum, we would go over 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is what we call the vertex, which is also the maximum point this parabola can be. The second example on the right is an example of a minimum point. We would go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then down 1, 2, 3. Then the minimum point for this graph is 5, -3, which is called the vertex also. The next slide is a word problem. Go ahead and give yourself some time to write that down. Highway mileage M in miles per gallon for a compact car is approximately M of S, which equals -0.03 S squared plus 2.4 S minus 30, where the M is your miles per gallon and your S is your speed in miles per hour. What we're going to do is we're going to graph this with the graphing calculator. I'm going to show you how to do this with the graphing calculator. Tomorrow you will practice it. So today you're just going to follow along. And we're going to answer some questions in regards to this graph and this function. Now go ahead and set up a graph. We want the x-axis to represent the speed, which is the miles per hour, and we want the y value to represent the miles per gallon, and that's the M. Now we're going to go ahead and open up the graphing calculator. Here's how we use a graphing calculator. We want to go to the y equals button, which is in the upper left-hand corner, right here. And I'm going to enter in that equation. We have to enter in a negative. So the negative is just the left of the enter. follow along if you have your own graphing calculator. And then 0.03, and then the x button is just to the right of the alpha, x t theta n. Now we have to raise it to the second power, so you can do it a couple ways. Sometimes it's more popular just to do the caret symbol, which is the upside down V above the division. Now we're going to enter in the 2, and we need to arrow over to get rid of that x squared, to move the placeholder over. Then we're going to add 2.4. We have to call up the x again, so that's the xt theta n. And then minus 30. And when I push graph, nothing is showing up on my graphing calculator. So I have to change my window to view it. So I'm going to go into window, and right now it has a maximum and minimum values for x and y. We're going to change the x minimum to just -2 because you think about your miles per gallon. So let's just go -2, and then we'll do my x maximum, so we're going to arrow down. And let's just change that to 100. And then we want our scale to be every 10 units, so we'll arrow down to 10. And notice on my screen, it's starting to show up the graph. Then I'm going to do my y minimum. We'll do -20. And my y maximum, let's do 100. And then we'll change the scale to 10. Now when we push graph again, look at my parabola. It's starting to appear, the shape of the U. Now looking at that graph, I probably don't need that big of a y-axis. So I'm going to change my window on my y-axis. Let's go back to window. I'm going to change my y maximum to, let's say, 20. And we want to go down on my y minimum. So let's go maybe to -50. And then graph it. Now we have the shape of our graph. We could go out and graph it now with our graph paper. So you have that, go ahead and do that now. Now, I have my graphing calculator still up here, so we're going to go ahead and push the trace button. And notice my cursor. I can move my cursor along this parabola by just pushing the button to the right. And it can start to tell me where the points are. So there is my x-intercept, which is approximately 65, and then over 0. And I can go to the left. That is 15, 0. And then we can trace down, continue tracing down to the left. We'll go down to that y-intercept and find that, which is about -30. Now I want to go up and find the maximum point too. Notice the shape of this graph is a parabola that opens down, so it has a maximum point. I can't really see that vertex point, So I'm going to go ahead and change my window again by increasing that y-axis to a little higher. So I'm just going to arrow down to my y maximum, and let's just go 40. And then push graph again. And now I can see my graph. I'm going to push trace. I'm just going to arrow over to the left, and now I can see my maximum point, which is about 4018. I'm going to stop the recording there, and we'll pick back up on part 2.